plenty of perspiration. Now we're seeing inspiration.
Listen to the noise. This is to tie the match up.
It all would have been there for him.
Oh, my word!
He's got it!
And for me, the shock of the tournament.
Magnificent, marvellous, magical.
good.
Yeah. One's ready to start. to go for it, guys?
Yeah, so we've got a bonus for you. This third match, as you can see, is underway. Schedule been rejigged because we had the very quick 9-0, and actually the 9-8 was pretty quick. It was an entertaining one, that one. Masato Yoshioka and Alex Pagulayan. That's the match that's gone underway here. Alex Pagulayan, of course, a legend from Canada. So another incident of ball in hand. Remember, this is still the one-loss side, the first losers round. Yeah, Pagulayan was beaten by Amir Ali. Bit of a shock, really, 9-4 earlier. Well, hasn't got any cover. Of course, these two have had to wait a while to get on. Such is the format. And a reminder, of course, the loser is out of the World Championship. Well, it's gone about as bad as it could, I think. Have to be the kick off this side cushion. Well, hasn't finished too bad for Pagulayan. 45 years of age, of course, from Canada. Filipino-born. He has actually played a lot of snooker as well, so Q Sports specialist. A lot of people would, I'm sure, love to see Pagulayan continue in this tournament. It's now got to go back 20 years to when he won this world title. One of the real legends of the sport, and one of those names I think everyone always looks out for. But of course his opponent here can't afford to get caught up with sentiment. He's got his own job to do. Trying to get the cover with the 8.
back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the opening game here for the match for their tournament life. And here's a man who's been playing really solid pool lately, Yoshioka of Japan, of course, and the man he's facing, that name speaks for itself in the pool world, or Q sports really. That's Alex Pagulayan, the Lion. Hasn't really had his rotation game. You know, at times we've seen some incredible spurts. Had a nice win last year against Josh Filler in this World Pool Championships and made a little run in that event there in Poland, but been a little sporadic at times. Yoshioka has been super solid and just seems to get better every time we see him. Bit of a tester here, off angle. You want to go to the lower left. You hate to play to the blind pocket, as they say. Really clean strike there on the 9 to get a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, I wonder what sort of match we'll get. The first one, of course, on this table was 9-0. The second was 9-8. Get the feeling this is more likely to be close than one-sided.
Yeah, you would think, but I mean, Yoshioka's the type of player that's not going to give games away. So Alex has got to be on point. I think he's, if you're going to talk about form, I guess you can tell what I'm going to say. Yoshioka's been in a bit more form than Pagulayan. Pagulayan's played a little bit of the Chinese 8-ball lately. Spent some time over there. Had a little bit of success. Got it to the final 32 of the big one. But none as big as this World Pool Championships.
You're reading?
Yeah, that was the first game.
Do it like
No. That was the first game.
1-0.
Well, there must be some issue with the scoreboard in the arena, because the ref's asking what the score is there, and they're having to tell him that was the first rack. Yeah, I don't know. That presumably is why we haven't got it on the screen. There must be an issue with the scoring. Hopefully that'll be resolved, because if you're tuning in, there we go. We've got it now.
Yeah,
So
we talk about long days. I guess no one has any more long days than the referees, really. High stress as well. Difficult push out, and a guy that's really kind of a master of that department. Anything tactically, that's definitely where he still shines. That'd be an AP, Alex Pagulayan. Now, does he have to shoot through the 2 or the 3 to get the cue ball where he really wants it? Is there a clear path? A lot of times the players will use the ball anyways, just because you judge the speed a little better coming off a ball than you do just necessarily, kind of a blind rollout. Now he's putting the 3 near the kicking position, so we'll see what he had in mind. He might get this back. So this will be a 2-rail kick, trying to slide the cue ball near the 3 as the 1 comes up like that. Wanted to get full contact on the 3 with the cue ball. A little fortunate the 3 and 6 did get locked up. Again, Alex has got his hands full in this match, I believe. I mean, normally I think you would consider him a small favorite, but I don't know at this point. And again, it's just not going to be any games given away. I mean, we all miss, you know, but it's not going to be the brain that costs Yoshioka a game. Just as I said it, looky here. Maybe trying to get a bit too cute, though, trying to get the angle on the 2 to open the 3-6. There's a very slim margin to get in that position, so maybe felt like getting snookered was the last option. Doesn't want to kick this 2 too hard, I wouldn't think. Doesn't want to somehow open this 3-6 unless he makes the 2.
Wow.
Well, what do we know, or what do I know, David? Just keep my mouth shut, I'll tell you. Sit back and watch. Pretty thin here on the red 3, but anytime you can just flat chop it and have the 5 there, usually you like your chances and you'll definitely attack. Should go back and forth, it seems, for the 5 on the opposite side. Yeah, like that. May have fallen a hair straight here. And Pia Filler talked about she rarely exits these events without getting a W somewhere, and sometimes 2 or 3. She's on the hill with the 7, 8, 9 remaining to try and advance and, you know, get to where she only needs 1 more win to qualify into that single elimination. So pretty awesome stuff there from Pia. Only lady in the field.
Yeah, that table's right in front of us. She's got, as you say, now the 8 and the 9 for a 9-4 win. She's right behind that 9 ball as Pagulayan looks on here in this match. A little concerned early on. The 9 is in, so Pia Filler has indeed won 9-4 there.
Alright, wants to avoid straight. Pretty impossible to land on the rail. Oh no.
Wow.
I'll try to create an angle with more speed that wasn't there. I lost the cue ball in that middle side pocket, so Pagulayan gets a pretty stress-free 2-ball run here with ball in hand to knock a few balls in, get on the board and tide this match.
Well, that's a real twist in the tail. Pagulayan delighted to be offered an early lifeline here. And it goes. Yeah, early drama in what's been a night of drama here. Yeah, he's got one of those names, you know, you're going to be drawn to his match, aren't you, even though he's playing Alex Pagulayan. Still has a lot of support, of course.
Yeah, he's always been a fan favorite, really, and deservedly so. And really has won just about everything in the game, a Hall of Famer. He's won the World 9-Ball, U.S. Open, of course. All kinds of titles in different disciplines.
Well, he looks certain to go 2 down there, but the chance came. Of course, one thing he has got is experience. He's seen all sorts of scenarios, probably every scenario you can think of. Of course, he has played snooker as well. Played on the tour back in 2013, 2014. Completely, you know, the games kind of look similar. They are similar, I suppose, but they are really very different skill sets. He didn't fare too well. He only played in a handful of tournaments. Anyway, 1 each.
Well, he's going to love that break off, and now the cue ball near the blue 2. So a huge scratch, it appears, even though it's early. Because Yoshioka should be waiting another game to get to the table, or possibly get to the table. And keep an eye on Fedor Gorston. Appears he's still struggling, even though he's up 1-0. Thien did have some opportunity in that first game and has had opportunity here in game 2 as well. I feel at times these days, and of course, when it feels more of a grind than it does, you know, a free kind of swing and more of a, you know, like you're playing the game versus working so much. It's easy to do, but I think sometimes Pagulayan overworks from ball to ball and really tries to pick the rack apart, trying to figure out how to make it a little easier on himself instead of relying on skills I think he still does possess. They ain't maybe not as sharp as in his heyday, but I think they're still there. Because the game, in my mind, is a lot about a little recovery, much more than perfect, right? I mean, I think the same probably falls in snooker. It's hard to get an ideal position all the time. It's much better to be a little freer with the right arm.
Yeah, I think the great players, they don't forget what the right shot is. It's just obviously sometimes just executing it as you would like. Sometimes goes astray.
Yeah, nicely held the ball there. Wants to come out off this cushion, get a little above the 8. Maybe like a foot or a diamond, you might say. He's just so much more, I mean, he's always been a little compact with the stroke, but he just seems much more compact than, you know, just even 7, 8 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. Told him one time, I said, go back and watch that World 9-Ball you won and see how long the stroke was. Just a bit more fluid.
Well, the thing is, he's got a lot of great moments. Of course, he could watch back Alex Pagulayan. In this match, he's gone 2-1 in front, and we're going to actually make way for a change of commentary. So Michael McMullen and Scott Frost are going to step in.
So Yoshioka in his chair, looking
Looking on as he has an early deficit to chase in this match, late on the second day of this 2024 World Championship, up against a vastly experienced opponent. 20 years this year since Alex Pagulayan won this World Championship. He's always so full of enthusiasm, Scott, and that just hasn't waned at all for him in those intervening 2 decades.
Yeah, it's still packed with talent. Obviously the charisma. People love him. And he's extremely tactical. I feel like he relies on that tactical side a little bit more with his age. Don't we all? And that's hopefully not the commentator jinx, but he's come up dry. He'd like to have got the 8 down. It would have showed nicely with where the 2 is laid following the 1. Yeah, nice strike there. Now he's got the 2 rail line to come towards maybe even the 9. He's got insurance with the 8 hanging. So if he can avoid the pink, he should be in good hands. Oh, and he's done well. He's come in between the 4 and the 5. Carried a perfect line. The only worry here is he doesn't want to follow the 8 in with the 3 unless he plays it. Could kind of play a 2-way position up there for the pink in the top left. That's what he's looking to confirm now. Only because of where the 6 is. You don't want to snooker yourself rolling this 3 in. He's done fine. He's going to have a bit of a reach, or he's going to need to switch hands here. Going to use, as my colleague calls it, the moose head. Or bridge, as we say in the States.
I'm trying to make that term my legacy to the game, Scott.
Well, you've got it.
There's so many wonderful bits of terminology. I thought it was about time I came up with one myself.
I kind of like it. It looks like it. Big resemblance there. Nice stroke from that position. Amped that pretty good. He'll be fine. Pagulayan with the dry break. Masato taking full advantage. Oh, he put a little inside on that to get more straight on the 6. I like the way he played it. Now he can just back up half a foot to a foot. Should be perfect for the brown in the right middle.
Saw Yoshioka in the UK Open just a few weeks ago, was in the last 64 there. But that was unexpected. He was looking pretty solid, but boy, has he had a result there.
Yeah, pretty fortunate, and you could go back to the green 6. I thought he would pull the cue ball back at least 6 to 8 inches. He just stopped the cue ball, therefore forced to elevate on the 7 to try and hold. Obviously, pretty straightforward, though. He just missed the ball. Like Michael says, he's gotten away with one so far. Can Pagulayan make a good return? I like the way he played it. He played it to make it. Can't fault him. A little more pace. He leaves pretty much nothing, but instead, Masato going to get away with one.
I think we expected this to be quite an evenly matched contest. So far, that's exactly what it is. They're level again at 2-all. So much still going on around the arena late in the day here. On the TV table, Federer Gorst, so surprisingly sent to the loser's side, is up against Long Duc Tien. They're in the early stages there. It's 1-all in that. Wu Kunlin, semi-finalist last year, has a 2-1 lead over Michael Schneider. Abdullah Al Yusuf, who was a semi-finalist the year before that, is level at 3-all with Sanjem Pelovanovic. The young Norwegian player, Emil Andre Gangflo, on the hill at 8-5 against Ahmed Al-Jabbar of the host nation. Mieszko Fortunski got to the UK Open final just a few weeks ago, but he's got work to do to stay in this World Championship. Just ahead of Nikos Economopoulos at 6-5. Dong Kwok Hwang has a 5-2 lead over Sullivan Clark of New Zealand. And the British veteran Imran Majid leads 4-3 against Tim de Ruyter of the Netherlands. Japan is a country that actually has a pretty big history in 9-ball. Scott, have you played there?
I have not played in Japan. I've wanted to go many times. We're going to get a good look at Masato's break. Going for the one in the left middle. Just short, and it's been the story here this week. If they're missing the one, typically aren't seeing these guys miss it long. So I think it's a little more than just a story of catching the one too thin. Maybe a little bit more moisture in the cloth than we think. Pagulayan, very good with that tool right there. Overrun the mark a little more than he would have liked. Now he's got to hold the cue ball. Notice the 3. Left end of your screen.
See the maple leaf of Canada next to Pagulayan's name. He was representing the Philippines, country of his birth, when he won the World Championship in 2004, although he'd already been living in Canada since he was a teenager. Didn't become a Canadian citizen until 2012, and so he's been representing that country since. When we talk about that 2004 World Championship success, it was certainly no one-off. At that time, he was regularly doing well over a wonderful golden period of a few years in the very biggest events. Indeed, he had almost won the World Championship the year before that, losing in the final to Torsten Homan in the last staging of the Cardiff era, and beat Chang Pei Wei to win it in 2004. He was also runner-up in the US Open in 2005, losing narrowly to Ralph Souquet, but again bounced back from that to win that prestigious title, although in that case it took him 3 years to do so. US Open champion of 2005, and so he's in that elite group of just 12 players who've won both of the 2 biggest titles in the game.
Yeah, and that's a great stat. Looks like he's going to play the 6-9 combination. And why not? Straightforward here.
And with that, Alex Pagulayan leads once again at 3-2, late on this second day of the 2024 World Championship. Just to update you on the Federer-Gorst match, he's now 2-1 down to Long Duc Tien. Now, early stages there, but Long Duc Tien is a very capable player, so we have to consider the unthinkable could happen, and Federer-Gorst could actually be out of the World Championship on the day he comes into it. Still a long way to go, though, as we said in that one.
Two totally different looks there. Pagulayan looking upwards. Really intelligent. Well, always seems like he's so much younger than me. I want to call him young man, but he's not much younger than me. I believe he's 45. Not as familiar with Masato.
Well, Pagulayan will soon be 46, if that makes you feel any better, later this month, Scott.
Excellent. Get another look at this break. The last one was dry. Oh, that's more like it for Pagulayan.
I love that nervous little flick he always does after the break. It's like he's already looking around, scanning the table. What have I got here? How is this finished up?
Yeah, and I don't think there's too many players on the planet better at calculating the right shot. Alex, terrific at that. Probably looking at chipping the 2 somewhere below the 3 and trying to get up behind the 8. Unless he sees something more effective, maybe going through the 2 and getting behind the 3, I don't know. Maybe the line just isn't there to get behind the 8. Well, that's where he's headed. And well executed.
So Yoshioka returns to the table. As I was saying earlier, Japan actually has a big history in the game. In fact, 3 different Japanese players have won this championship. Takeshi Okamura in 1994 in Chicago. Kunihiko Takahashi was the winner in 1998. And then Yukio Kakurayama back in 2011. There have been some big events staged there in the past as well, and of course they've had several good runs at the World Cup of Pool. Naoki Oi, certainly the most famous Japanese player in contemporary times. The biggest games there, of course, are baseball, golf. They've become very good at football, of course, in the last 20, 25 years.
Yeah, any type of contact here and good things could happen, but the 3 is a big ball. And that will result in ball in hand. Can he play the 5? Well, he's looking to really stitch him up. Yeah, decel. Pretty bad decel there. I don't know that he's left him a shot, but he's going to have an easy look at the kick. 1 rail. Even close enough to where he might be able to control it. Maybe kick the 2 upwards right of the 8 and just slide the cue ball down past the pink. That's what he's looking at. Watch the cue ball. That was always the threat, especially at the pace he hit it. I thought he might just try to drift that 2 up past the 8, Michael.
Yeah, that was one of those where we knew the scratch was coming long before the ball actually dropped. Talked about those World Championship and US Open titles. Another very prestigious trophy that he's claimed over the years is the World Masters. Won that in 2008 in Las Vegas. Beat Mika Immonen, who was such a world-leading player around that time, in the final.
Yeah, he's familiar with the fact that they're playing the 3 foul rule. Masato on 2. Pagulayan can't deny the fact that these balls are laying so good. He knows he's a favorite to get out here. He just has to get good on the pink to the purple 5. Wow. Landed a little flat here. If he feels he can get there, he'll be good. This angle might be misleading me a little bit. It is. He can punch up or slide up. Yeah, well done. He's got a great cue ball. Alex likes to stay in line. Perfectionist at all cue sports. Actually, a great snooker player in his own right.
Yeah, so I believe. Ooh, well, that wasn't great. Now, what's happened here?
Yeah, and of course, as the jinx would have it, as soon as I mention. But I'll tell you, at times, like myself, Michael, he'll tend to get a little quick in the backswing or a little punchy. Maybe just got a little ahead of himself there. The position, he was nice and tight on the purple 5. Masato got work to do. The 4 on the right-hand side of this pocket. So he's going to have to catch this ball going in without a doubt. I don't know if you can go rail first if you hit it bad. Oh, yeah, nicely done. How's it going to finish?
Pretty sweet, I would say. Oh, sorry. I just lost the run of myself for a moment there, of course. It's late in the day. He's playing for the 5, so far from sweet.
It's all good. Yeah, and I think he's looking to see if he can catch a piece of the 5 here. If he can, it makes all the difference. He can get up 2 rails above the 6 and 7. Possibly use the 9 as a little bit of cover, too. Looks to me like he can't see a piece of it, but, well, I'm a little ways away. Oh, wow. Just a sliver.
Big news coming from elsewhere in the arena. Long Duc Tien has won another rack and now leads Fedor Gorst 3-1. Gorst on the loser's side after that astonishing defeat to Mustafa Alnar earlier today. Of course, you never take anything for granted, but Gorst can't honestly have been expecting that he'd still be here after 11 p.m. playing in the losers round tonight. Would have expected his day to be over by early evening. Well, here he is, and with work to do again. Anyway, we will of course keep you right up to date on that one.
And speaking of Gorst, You know, coming off a big win. Well, look at this and look at that. Look at this and look at that. I thought he was going to scratch. Yeah, speaking of Gorst, I was just going to say maybe. I mean, there's just a chance he's played one pocket in the last week or so, but maybe he's gotten a little comfortable. He's so familiar with the game, obviously. A superstar in his own right already. He knows that anything can happen. The sport will humble you. Things can just go against you slightly. And the next thing you know, you're behind the 8 ball. No pun intended. I still expect him, Michael, to make a charge.
Then again, though, weren't we both saying that earlier today against Elnor? And it never happened.
Fair enough. Agreed. Yeah, he's got a pretty good 2-rail line behind the purple 5 with a high ball. You just got to catch it fat. Just miss the lower middle pocket right here. The right speed, everything should end up okay. Oh, you got a bad flick on the 9. Well, good for line. The Pagulayan, the Lion, Alex Pagulayan, and they do call him the Lion for a reason, Michael. He's got a lot of heart.
Yeah, it's not just because it's the second half of his surname. There is an appropriateness to it as well. Funny enough, I think it was actually Cliff Thorburn, the famous Canadian snooker player, who gave him that name.
And there's that flinch you were talking about. He does have it. He's had that for years and just works through it. A lot of the Filipinos, or at least the old school ones, had some type of movement in their arm or their body, but never slowed them down. Thin cut to the top left. And well managed. I think clipping the 7 actually helped him. Kept him off the rail. Looks like he's going forward. Needs it to carry.
Well, how many chances is he going to need in this rack? Made hard work of it.
Yeah, bringing out the old moose head, Michael.
Well, he should be familiar with those living in Canada.
Yeah, no doubt. Is he going? Looks to me like he's taking the cut on to the top left. Oh, what a clean strike. And I think this is a big advantage of his using the bridge. He's done it playing snooker. Now, I don't know all the details, Michael, but I know that he tried to qualify years ago, and I'm not putting you on the spot because you're probably not fully familiar with this, but from what I understood, he did quite well. Didn't quite make it, which very tough to make it over in your part of the world, but I heard he did quite well.
Yeah, I don't think he was ever that close to actually attaining full professional status, but yeah, I think he got some wins along the way. Corey Jewell, of course, is another well-known pool player, former US Open champion, who tried to qualify for the Professional Snooker Tour in quite recent times.
Yeah, so maybe Alex just told us he was close.
I don't think he ever got that close. Anyway, that rack finally has come to an end, and Pagulayan now leads by 4 racks to 2. I always find in Q Sports it actually tends to be the shorter guys who are better at using the bridge or the rest or whatever it is in whichever Q Sport it happens to be, purely and simply because they've had to use it more often. It's not always the case, of course, but you look at Pagulayan, he's a short man, so he's often had to use implements to get to the shot.
Yeah, and even at his size, it's amazing some of the things he can reach. And that's kind of, I guess, once again, back to all the Filipinos. They're all very athletic, especially this young man at the table.
It's such a cliche, isn't it, to talk about the little man with the massive heart, but in his case it is absolutely appropriate. And he's leading 4-2.
Oh, nice break. What a great hit. Three's not going to finish the way he wants it to. He's got the 1 and 2 down.
Wasn't it Pagulayan who made 6 balls off the break once and didn't win the rack?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I don't believe he had a good shot, or whether he did or not. He might have had a shot, but it wasn't easy. I think he hung it up. Yeah, and that's famously on YouTube.
Yeah. I remember his expression after the miss. It was like he just couldn't believe something like that could happen.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he went that direction. I thought he might try and drop down below the 5 and 6. Obviously, if he shot it that way, he shot it the right way. Figured he could get behind the pink 4 and possibly play the 3 into the corner. Just caught it a little thick. And if you're in Masato's shoes, I don't think it's time to get ahead of yourself here. You want to try and take control, but you have to do that one step at a time. No time to be aggressive. That's for certain. Yeah, not bad.
With Pagulayan representing Canada these days, they now have a pretty formidable team in the World Cup. Pagulayan and John Morra. And the eventual runners-up, Germany, were given quite a run by them as early as the second round in Spain last year. It was level at 4-all before Joshua Filler and Moritz Neuhausen pulled away for a 7-4 win. Morra and Pagulayan have been to the quarterfinals before, 5 years ago. Only the second time Canada had reached that stage, having been semi-finalists as long ago as 2007 with a different team.
Yeah, going to the air here. I think he's going to contact the 9 no matter what he does. He was heavily invested in the 3. And you can see why. Carried position. If he gets it down, he was in good hands. Once again, Masato almost get the sense that he's a little stumped. You gotta feel like the 5 and 6 are still pretty key balls in this rack that you can hide behind at all times. He can chip the left side of the 3 and come down behind the 5, behind the 4, using the 9 and 7 as well. There's nothing wrong with this. Yeah, there's good news for Masato. Not only did he snooker him, he's got him over the pink. So Pagulayan can't elevate with inside and swerve around the 9. He's going to have to play a kick shot. make a good hit here. A lot of good things can happen. And that's kind of one of them.
I was talking earlier about the very strong Japanese pedigree in the history of this World Championship. Yoshioka has a little bit of that for himself. He's been to the last 32 a couple of years ago. Which might not sound like much, but when you consider these players come from all over the world, and also the World Championship with a 1-2-8 player field, you're generally up against it in terms of the level of opposition you have right from the start. You have to be a seriously good player to make it to, well, let's say the penultimate day of the World Championship, which is what the last 32 is.
No, I couldn't agree more, Michael, and that's a really good way to put it. It sounds easy from home or sitting there watching, and I'm guilty of that as well, but when you see these guys in the level of play up close and personal, making it to the final 32 of an event like this, well, you better be doing something. Not easy.
It's like the hundreds of matches you have in these events, and you just scroll down and it's just a list of results that have been churned out. But every single one of those results has a story behind it of intense effort from both players. Every win is so hard fought. Even those that sometimes don't look like it. Players win 9-0 or 9-1 in a match and you think it's been easy for them, but they've had to go out and do it and play to their ability to produce an outcome like that. Ferrer-Gorst has got back to level now. He's won 2 in a row against Long Duc Tien, so that one's 3-all.
Yeah, so maybe Federer starting to find some type of comfort zone. I know Skylar Woodward, one of his counterparts, did win his match earlier. Seemed to have gotten more comfortable. Oh, nice thin clip here, utilizing the 3 balls. Did he get there, though? The cue ball might have rested in the only place where the 3 goes. Very tough to tell, but by the way he is judging lining up on the pink 4, it tells me the 3 goes. Never a question of whether it went or not for Masato. Now this shot to the side. Pretty thin. These middle pockets aren't extremely forgiving. Well, if that gives you any idea of why he played safe, it's because of what I said. I still felt like, with the score line, that he might have taken a swing at that. He didn't even bury him up behind this 7, and Pagulayan thrilled to have this opportunity. Yeah, so you've got to wonder. I mean, the game is not over. I felt like that ball was makeable in the middle for Masato. He's got to really wedge him up here, and he's done that. So it was all worth it in the end. But now, he's got to dodge one last bullet. And that's the young man at the table, the line, Mr. Alex Pagulayan, looking to make a clean hit on the pink 4. Trying to bend this cue ball with a low ball. Yeah, not enough bend. In order to catch the 4 there, I think you've just got to catch below the left middle pocket.
Actually, just going back on something I said, it wouldn't quite be the penultimate day, would it? I guess the last 32 of the World Championship. But still, the point I was making is you got to be a seriously good player to get there.
No, absolutely, and I think it's great that somebody like yourself actually recognizes that. You know, these guys come from a long ways away. They work very hard, and you know, it's a bit thankless, the job, especially making the final 32 is very thankless, right? So I think it's a big thing that you even mentioned that, because it's very true. You've got to do something good in order to get into the final 32. A lot of people don't recognize that. I hope that there's more of that in the sport. And I like the way he played this. He wanted to stay below the 5. He knows he's going to get position on it as long as he gets the 6 down. Just needs to get out towards the center of the table at worst. Yeah, a little light. He's going to be fine. Actually, that's almost perfect.
So this 38-year-old from Kyoto in Japan is once again back to only 1 behind. Masato Yoshioka closes to 4-3 against Alex Pagulayan. We've got a hill finish late in the day on table 2, and Ahmed Al-Jabbar of Saudi Arabia has come from behind to make it 8-all against Emil Andre Gangflow. I think the Saudi contingent so far have been pretty much as we expected, some of them going out without winning many racks and others perhaps raising a few eyebrows, and that's what Ahmed Al-Jabbar is doing in that match. 1 rack away from getting through to the loser's qualification. Also on the hill is the recent UK Open runner-up Mieszko Fortunski, but victory far from assured for him because he's only just ahead of Nikos Economopoulos at 8-7. Wu Kunlin leads Michael Schneider 5-2, Sanyan Pelovanovic is 6-4 up on Abdullah Al Yusuf. It's 5-all between Imran Majid and Tim de Ruyter. Same score between Duan Kwok Wang and Sullivan Clark. And Long Duc Tien has regained the lead against Fedor Gorst. It's 4-3 there now. As it is here.
And there you see it again, the 1 short, but the 3-8 following each other in the lower right. Or the 8-3, depending on how you want to look at it. And the 1 hanging in the top right. Really, the work here is from the 2 to the 4. Anywhere above the purple 5 is good. Carries your line to come 2 rails over for the 4. Not easy here. Yeah, you need another couple rotations out of that cue ball, Michael. touched on it before. Anytime you've got a ball hanging in the pocket, it's very, very difficult to judge exactly what that cue ball is going to do. It's the speed coming off the object ball.
Yeah, and that's why the further away you're shooting from, the harder it becomes to have any control over what it does next.
There's a big difference there between getting him behind the pink or getting him behind the 9 than letting him see this 2-ball. This young man is crafty, Mr. Pagulayan, and I keep calling him a young man because I grew up with him, Michael, and he always seems younger than me. Well, he's not a big guy, and he's always so cheerful. So, maybe just a young man at heart.
I heard him actually this morning at breakfast. I'm not sure exactly who it was he was talking to, but he was speaking to one of the younger players at great length about the dedication you need to have to make it to the top and all the sacrifices you have to put in.
Yeah, and Alex, you know, he's been through blood, sweat, and tears in this game. Like I mentioned, he plays all games great. Probably known as, well, the greatest one-pocket player in the world currently.
Come on now, Scott.
Oh,
isn't that you?
Not at all me. There might have been a day way back, but those days are long foreshadowed. I don't know if it's almost beneficial to go at this. The defensive play, tricky. Yeah, pretty savvy though, just laying it up by the purple. If you can rub the top edge of this too and just lay him behind the purple softly. A lot of distance there, pretty touchy. On the overhead, it looks like it's doable. Really risky. Easy to not get a rail, easy to leak the 2 out. And from this angle, it looks much more difficult.
We've got another hill finish going on here on table 8. Nikos Economopoulos has drawn level at 8-all with Mieszko Fortunski. That would be huge if Fortunski ended up going out this early after his exploits in Telford a few weeks ago.
Ooh, and he's got the middle pocket. Fortunately, he can go in the drink. I know at that angle you'd think it's impossible, but might have been a lot worse, depending on the angle Pagulayan has here. He quickly looking at it. If he's got a line to draw back below that middle pocket, he'll be in good condition.
And that other hill finish that's going on, Ahmed Al-Jabbar is at the table in the deciding rack with a chance to knock out Emil Andre Gangflow.
Well, if executed, this will be a pretty shot. He's going to force follow with a high inside ball. It's about as good as you could do from there. Needs a little bounce due to where the purple is.
Just keeping you on top of everything that's going on in the arena tonight. Fedor Gorst has drawn level again with Long Duc Tien at 4-all. I believe he had an early out with a combination in rack 8.
Oh, he's gone straight into the middle. I'm a little surprised he didn't go the other way. He just felt good. He must have planned on playing the 5 in the lower right. Finally see a little reaction from Pagulayan over there. Masato quickly to the table, Michael.
So they were level at 1-all. They were level again at 2-all. Pagulayan got a bit of daylight for the first time at 4-2. But with back-to-back racks, Masato Yoshioka is going to make it level pegging again. Started this rack with a couple of balls down off the break. A few twists and turns after that, but he's won the rack. And so it's 4-all. Still no white smoke from either of those hill finishes going on. Imran Majid is now 6-5 up on Tim de Ruyter, the Dutch player. And Abdullah Al Yusuf is just about to pot the easiest of nines, which he has now deposited to get back to just one behind against Sanjan Pelovanovic. Of course, we'll be into the winners and losers qualification rounds at various stages tomorrow. So many tasty matches in winners qualification. One that stands out for me actually is the defending champion Francisco Sanchez Ruiz against Kyle Amoroso, young Philippines player who has proven time and time again over the last year or so that he is no respecter of big reputations. Jason Shaw, Johan Chua is another really tasty looking one.
And there we see it again, Michael. The one short. Oh, he's got a bad flick off the 3. This will give Alex Pagulayan ball in hand. Watch the little flick off the 3, causing the white to go directly into the middle. Just what the doctor ordered for Pagulayan. Does the 6 pass the 8? Maybe. The only concern in the future here, everything laying pretty nicely. The 3 to the 4 could possibly be a challenge. And that's what he's observing now. Evaluating the situation, wondering where he wants to be on the 3 to get to the 4. The 4 up by the blue 2.
Ahmed Al-Jabbar just needs the 8 and the 9, which look fairly routine, to end the campaign of Emil Andre Gangflo. He's the young Norwegian player who beat Joshua Filler in the Spanish Open last year. Ended up getting to the last 16 and losing to the eventual winner, Dang Jinhu. Oh, Al-Jabbar has left himself a little tester on the 9 for the match.
Pretty good strike there. As I'm gazing through the room, I have to say it. I haven't mentioned her name since I've been here in town. Emily Frazier. The woman just doesn't stop. She continues to peer on tables and make sure everything is okay, updating or getting updates on scores.
And that cheer you can hear coming from the other side of the hall is in honour of Ahmed Al-Jabbar of the sizable home contingent, because he has just potted the winning 9 to defeat Emil Andre Gangflo 9-8. The sole Norwegian in the championship has gone out.
The way Alex is acting, there's no issue with the 6 to the lower left. Or at least I haven't seen anything from him there yet. He's in between here now, trying to get above the 5. So now he's going to play short side once again. The 5 in the same position it was in last game, where you will recall Alex scratched directly into the middle pocket.
Just to wrap it up on Al-Jabbar, he's through to losers qualification. He'll now play the loser of the winners qualification match tomorrow between Eklund Kachi and Mickey Crouch, the young Danish player who got to the last 16 of the UK Open last month.
And he's going to float over to the left side of the 6, so the 6 is going to play to the lower right. And I will retract. It must not play to the lower left if he's played it intentionally like this. Obviously ahead of time is what I mean by that. Must be able to miss the 7 here going forward. And avoid the right middle.
Longduc Tien is ahead once more against Fedor Gorst at 5-4. Seems like across the 2 matches, Scott, we've been waiting all day for Gorst to start firing and get on a run. Well, if it doesn't happen soon, he could be out.
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, I guess it's pretty hard pressed to imagine that. But I am not shocked just because I know how Poole is. I know you know how Poole is, and the level of play here. You never know. In the long run, it might be good for Gorst, maybe. It'll really wake him up. Maybe he'll go on a tear after this if he happens to lose the match.
Oh, he didn't want this for the 9.
Yeah, he's close to it. He will manage.
Yeah, should be fine. Just a little trickier than you would have anticipated. But this to lead once again, having lost the last 2 racks. Pagulayan has won this one. The champion of 20 years ago leads 5-4. Also 5-4 for Wu Kunlin against Michael Schneider. No update on Sanyan Pelovanovic and Abdullah Al-Yusuf. That's still 6-5. Imran Majid has gone 2 clear now against Tim de Ruyter at 7-5. Duan Kwok Wang 6-5 up against Sullivan Clark. And still no result to report from Table 8. Nikos Economopoulos and Mieszko Fortunski embroiled in a deciding rack. Talking earlier about Pagulayan's exploits in the World Cup of Pool. Yoshioka's got a good record in it as well. With Japan, he's been in the quarterfinals twice. In fact, in 2021, he and Naoki Oi were 1 rack away from getting to the semi-finals, but they lost to Slovakia, the real surprise package of that year. They were quarterfinalists again last summer in Spain, knocking out the USA on the way.
Good things I'm seeing from Alex on the break. And that's exactly what you want, back and forth into the 9. Obviously playing the 1 in the middle. That's customary. The trick is for these guys is the 2 is randomly racked, so they can't play a certain position ever. It makes this game much more difficult. Concerned now with the 5 covering the 2 up. I wouldn't be surprised if he played across corner to the top right. Notice the red 3 down here on the lower left. I think he's changed his mind here. Yeah, what a clean shot. Not easy to do. He used an inside cue ball. Very, very good judge there.
23 days after contesting a major final at the UK Open, Mieszko Fortunski has gone out of the World Championship on the very day he began his campaign, because he has been beaten 9-8 by the two-time Mosconi Cup player Nikos Economopoulos from Greece. So it will be Economopoulos who advances to losers qualification tomorrow. And there he will play the loser of the match between Alexander Kazakis and Levan Cortezas. It could be an all-Greek clash. For a place in single elimination. Fortunski's a player we all would have thought would go well here after what he did in Telford, Scott, but it's all come to a very abrupt end for him.
Yeah, it seems to be the storyline for a lot of these guys so far. Well, really, only into day 2. Pagulayan, with the angle he wanted there, well managed. Now he's got a good line to play the 6 up in the top left and just come out to where his cue line is now. Somewhere around the rack spot. He caught it heavy, Michael. He caught it real heavy, but he got away with it. Typically kind of a blind shot there. That ball being played up into the left corner, so not easy.
Just going back to Fortunski, by the way, that's the second year in a row in the World Championship that he's gone out with 2 defeats from 2 matches. Happened to him in his home country of Poland last year.
We got the most out of that. So making a real nice out here. Had to manufacture many different angles.
So all the effort that Yoshioka put in to recover from 2 behind to draw level. And now he finds himself back to square one effectively, because he's 2 behind again. Pagulayan now leads 6-4. So just 6 matches left going on out there on this second night of the World Championship. Wu Kunlin 6-4 up on Michael Schneider. Sanyan Pelovanovic has now gone 7-5 against Abdullah Al-Yusuf. Imran Majid just ahead of Tim de Ruyter now at 7-6. Duan Kwok Hwang also narrowly in front against Sullivan Clark at 6-5. And Long Duc Tien, as I said, leading the world number 2, Fedor Gorst, by 5 racks to 4. So all of those half-dozen matches still going remain very much in the balance. Remember, players who come through this round will have to win 1 more match tomorrow, and it will be against someone who has been beaten in winners' qualification by then.
Yeah, and these are the matches that can really tell yourself what you're made of. Get through a tough one of these. Come back tomorrow with rest. You never know what can happen. One thing very few, if any of these guys do, is give up. It's just not in their DNA. Yeah, Michael, I really think he's getting the most out of it. He's lost the cue ball, though.
Yeah, lost it big time. Lost it so much, in fact, that it's ball in hand, and already a good chance for Yoshioka right at the start of this 11th rack.
Yeah, and he's caught the flick off the bottom of the 9. Just a fraction, and we are talking fractions from a perfect break. Because he's playing to collide into the 9. So, Masato, if it was your time, it's now.
Yeah, when it's a tight, close match all the way, it's so important not to let the other guy get any sort of daylight, because all of a sudden the pressure can lift from a player in that situation and they can streak away. Gorst has levelled once again with Long-Duc Tien at 5-all. I'll tell you what, Scott, the way these matches are going, in about 30, 40, 45 minutes from now, we could have an absolute flurry of hill finishes all going on at the same time.
Yeah, and you get the sense that's how a lot of them could finish. They all know the value of this tournament. Everybody trying extra hard.
Well, I think there's been the debate, hasn't there, for a number of years, which is the bigger, the World Championship or the US Open, and the World Championship has had a bit of a comeback in the last few years since Matchroom took it over, and it's been drawing level again, really. I think just with the huge prize money on offer here, perhaps the World Championship is now edged ahead of the US Open.
Well, I can tell you within the players you can sense it. That's the sense I get. Oh, and look out here. This was his opportunity. I believe he was trying to come above the 5 where you could have just dropped below the 6. Excuse me, trying to come above the 6 where you could have just dropped below it. So I don't really know there exactly what was going on. But that was pretty straightforward. Could have just stunned down below that 6 and had no risk at all. Either he got into the cue ball too much or not enough, obviously. He's got to make big contact here with the 5 and clear the 6. I am not certain, but it looked to me like the 6 might have moved.
Yeah, I thought that too, actually. Now, it doesn't look like it from there. Or does it? Do you think it does, even from that angle?
I couldn't see it from there, but it did look like it rocked, neither here nor there. You saw it as well.
I saw it too. Now, it was so slight that our eyes could have deceived us, but even at our age, Scott, it's unlikely both of us would see it wrong.
Yeah, neither here nor there. Players continuing on. I'm sure they know best. That's why you and I are up here, Michael. I'm sure somebody will put that on YouTube or Facebook. If it did move.
It's probably got 5 million hits already. The world moves fast these days, Scott.
Faster than you and I. And Pagulayan moving pretty quick himself. Heart rate starting to get up, knowing he's got an opportunity at a 3-game stretch. Speaking of stretch, well, I tell you what, Michael, if I could just do that one time in my career, I would be thrilled. I might have just quit when I did it.
Well, a couple of things haven't happened yet in this match. Neither player has won 3 racks in a row. Neither player has led by 3. But in one fell swoop, Alex Pagulayan has accomplished both of those things. And he now leads 7-4. The winning line just coming into view. He needs a couple more racks to get there. Sanjin Pelovanovic is already there. Young man from Bosnia and Herzegovina has beaten the former world semi-finalist Abdullah Al Yusuf of Kuwait by 9 racks to 5. So he's through to losers qualification, where he will meet the loser of the match between Pong Nam Pham and Marco Teucher. So just 5 matches still going now. Tim de Ruyter has turned it round nicely, or at least has drawn level now with Imran Majid at 7-all. 6-4 for Wu Kunlin over Michael Schneider. Duong Kwok Hwang 6-5 up on Sullivan Clark, the sole New Zealand player in the field. And it's 5-all still between Long-Duc Tien and Fedor-Gorst. There's a long discussion going on at the end of that match between Sanjin Pelovanovic and Abdullah Al Yusuf. The two players were talking for a considerable period of time. They're both still at the table about 5 minutes after the match finished. Al Yusuf is sitting down. Pelovanovic is embroiled in what looks like quite an intense conversation with the senior referee here, Marcel Eckhart. I've no idea what any of that's about. Sanjin is now trying to demonstrate something on the table. It looks as though he might be talking about some issue to do with the racking. But whatever's going on, it's clearly something that at least one of them feels strongly about, because, as I say, it's 5, 6, 7 minutes now since this match ended. Incidentally, if you're wondering why you're just looking at a table there, it's because both players have gone out for a short break. Yoshioka is now returning, and indeed so is Pagulayan. So we will crack on. Two more to go through.
Yeah, really good contact with the 9. Again, the 1 straight into the cup. I'll tell you what, he's been working. He has to have been working on his break, because it looks pretty good. He's not hitting them at a monstrous pace, but he doesn't need to. He's getting a good spread, even though the 7 and 8 are a little funny here. The results, well, they're there.
Had such a great World Championship last year, even though he only got to the last 32, as we said earlier, that takes some doing. But the story of how he got there was remarkable. He beat Joshua Filler, sent him to the one-loss side. Filler made single elimination anyway, coming through the loser's side. When he got there, Pagulayan beat him again. In fact, he beat him 3 times in a few weeks early last year, because he had also defeated Filler at the Derby City Classic. However, he didn't do any of it by playing shots like that.
Yeah, and that gives us an idea of how tight these pockets are. 4-inch Racing tables, Simona's cloth. Pagulayan could have used another couple rotations on that cue ball. He might have got him behind the 5, but neither here nor there. Masato's time to shine. This is pretty manageable. You can catch the thin side of the 2, maybe with a little check or a little inside English, and coming up towards the 3 for the 3 in the top left corner, depending on how he feels. 7-8 combination could be on the opposite corner. A 6 also leading to a breakout if necessary. Yeah, he's decided to try and come all the way over. I was wondering if he might think about playing this to the right middle. Felt like you were asking a lot to get the cue ball all the way back up. If you catch a fraction of the 2 thick, you can get in trouble. Should be able to manage this. The pink 4. Right there past the cue ball. It's going to be a thin hit to the right middle. Needs a good rub here, and that's not it. Pagulayan going to get another opportunity at the table. Most likely.
Just to report Federer Gorst is 6-5 up on Long Duc Tien, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the first time Gorst has led in the whole match.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it.
I'm not sure he led at any stage in his first match either.
No, I don't believe he did. He trailed pretty much the whole way there. Matter of fact, I think you and I were sitting right here when that happened. Yeah, really giving this some thought. I almost feel like you can play a two-way here to bank it to the lower right and try and kill your cue ball 1 or 2 rails behind the 5. That's what he's doing. Well, Pagulayan give him the click of approval. And he hit it. Fabulous. Looking to stop there. Does that tell us that he's got to open the 7 and 8 up? I feel like the 8 plays to the lower left.
I always say the only rack that is truly must win is the one where your opponent is on the hill, but it's got a bit of that feel about it here that he really needs this. Doesn't feel like the sort of match where someone's going to win 5 in a row, which Yoshioka would need to do if he lost this rack.
Well, you can't stay more steady than he did over that ball. Is he entertaining the 7 off of 9? Boy, it looks and feels like, especially with the gap between the 7 and 8, that the 8 will play in the same pocket as the 6. Well, he's got an angle here. It's turned out okay. He can play the 8-9 combination following this 7. A lot of things could have gone wrong there, crashing into those balls.
Yeah, and as he played the shot, he was doing that little Pagulayan flick, actually, of his head. So eager to see how things had come up for him. Discussions still going on after that Pelovanovic-Al-Yusuf match. Pelovanovic has only just left the table now, about 10 minutes after it ended, after that lengthy conversation with the referee, Marcel Eckhart. So we'll endeavour to find out later what the debate was all about there. Pelovanovic was the winner, 9-5.
Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. Almost laying in a right or perfect line, it looks like. You can almost play to basically stop, or like a stop shot on the 8. You don't want to overhit this, meaning hit it too hard. It's the only way the 9 can probably hold up. With the proper speed, the pocket should take well. And this is a great camera angle.
Well, he's just not going away in this match. He had lost the last 3 racks prior to that. But with the 8-9 combination, Masato Yoshioka gets back to 2 behind at 7-5. Wu Kunlin has had several good runs in this World Championship over the years. He's twice appeared in the semi-finals among them. And he's leading 8-4 against Michael Schneider, so just needs 1 more to go through. 7-all between Imran Majid and Tim de Ruyter. Duan Kwok Wang now 7-5 up on Sullivan Clark. And as I reported, it's 6-5 for Federer Gorst against Long Duc Tien. And Gorst is at the table with a chance to go further clear. Yeah, I was talking earlier about Pagulayan's run in this championship last year in Poland. Made it to the last 32. Was beaten by Alexa Pechelj. And really had a good run in the early part of 2023. He again got to the last 32 at the UK Open. not long after that. Lost to Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, and he had a great Premier League. Just missed out on getting to the semi-finals of that in Leicester last year. And late in the year he got to the quarter-finals of the International Open, which isn't one of the Matchroom major events, but it's basically the same sort of thing. Similar field and prize money. Beat Alban Ocean on his way to the last 16. Gerson Martinez of Peru beat him in the end.
Well, short with the 1 again. I feel like a broken record at times, because if they're missing it short, and that's the 1 to the middle. Pagulayan been pretty accurate with that. He needs to be pretty accurate with this. An opportunity to get to 8. Work to do. He's real good at going forward with an inside cue ball. And he really didn't even use an inside ball. He just hit it with a flat ball. Probably better. Now he can peel up past the brown and play the 3 into the corner. He doesn't like it, so he's a little straighter than he would have liked. Maybe the draw angle actually going towards the 7. That's about worst case scenario. These aren't the type of pockets you have a lot of room to cheat. If he's playing the cue ball that direction, it tells me this ball goes.
It's been a day of real struggle for Fedor Gorst, but maybe at the end of it he's coming good, because he's gone 2 ahead now of Long Duc Tien at 7-5. Here's the thing though, if Gorst gets through, he'd be in loser's qualification, and he would play the loser of Francisco Sanchez Ruiz and Kyle Amoroto. So big test either way.
Yeah, and I still, for some reason, deep down, and I've kind of set it up in the interview there in Vision earlier, I feel like he could still be the story of the event, especially after losing round number 1. Maybe he's thinking the same way.
You look at Amoroto, and as I was saying earlier, he's no respecter of reputations, got some fine wins under his belt. So far from inconceivable that he might beat FSR tomorrow, and then you've got FSR against Gorst in loser's qualification. Do you think that might just make the main table, Scott?
Yeah, real good chance.
Anyway, a lot needs to happen before that eventuality comes to pass.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong here with just punching out to the middle. I think that's what he was addressing there. He's not going to overthink it, but he is going to make sure what he was doing was the right thing. No reason to try and come back and flirt with the 7 or snooker yourself on the 9. Just get clear of it. Yeah, well done. This way you know you're getting a look at the 6. Remove all questions. Now it's a matter of holding for the 7. Oh, he's chosen to go into it. Well, how did he do? Looks to be perfect. Willing that cue ball into the perfect line.
Yoshioka's a fine player, but I think it's fair to say Pagulayan has always looked the more likely winner of this match, and If he can deposit the 8 and the 9, he'll be just one away from doing exactly that. And to prevent him, Yoshioka is now going to have to win 4 racks in a row because Pagulayan is at the hill at 8-5. You know, I was saying about 20 minutes ago, Scott, that we might see a load of hill finishes because all the matches out there were still so close. There's a theme developing around the arena here in Jeddah this evening. One player starting to pull away in a lot of those matches. Duong Kwok Wang has now made it to the hill at 8-5 against Sullivan Clark. Feder Gorst, as I said, now a couple clear of Long Duc Tien at 7-5. This one's gone 8-5. Wu Kun Lin has a bit of daylight over Michael Schneider at 8-5. But there is one match that could still very conceivably go the distance. Imran Majid and Tim de Ruyter. The Dutch player has battled back to level that one at 7-all. We're now well past midnight here in Saudi Arabia and still so much to play for on this second day of the World Championship. And what a day we have in store tomorrow. Nobody through yet, of course. To single elimination, all the places will be filled tomorrow. And with all the players of quality on the loser's side, what a last 64 draw to look out for. Anyway, back in the moment, 8-5 Pagulayan.
Yeah, the 1 is down, the 2 going to finish difficult. Notice, the push has already been called. And you can't fault Alex for that call. He's a thinking man's player. Very good with the push. Bit of advice for you people that want to take on the line in a game of 9 or 10 ball. Do yourself a favor. If he pushes, don't give it back. He's probably got something up his sleeve.
I think he's called push twice now. So, here's one for you, Scott. Who do you think has been the best player you've seen in terms of making decisions and executing them in terms of the push-out?
Well, we're looking at one of them right here, in my opinion. I've always felt that Alex has chosen the correct shot, no matter what game he played, probably as much or more than his opponent. Well, if we go back to the past, I mean, I think currently also, you know, the likes of Feder Gorst and the natural Joshua Filler, their IQs are so high. I could go on and on. Probably the Coe brothers as well. Yeah. Alban Ocean. FSR. I mean, I've got so much respect for these players because I've spent enough time now really getting to know how great they are at this game.
But the decision-making of the push-out and deciding what to do, is that something that you feel a player can be coached into, or is it just an instinct, or is it a combination of instinct and experience?
Yeah, I think that's a great question or statement there. I don't think you can be coached into that. I don't think too many of these guys, when it gets to the intricate parts of the game like that, are coached. I think it's experience, and some of them just have a little bit more of that caginess to them than others. But then others will make up in different categories or different areas.
Long Duc Tien is not lying down against Feder Gorst. He's got one back now. He really needed it. All the momentum was building for Gorst. If he'd won that 13th rack, he was first to the hill. Long Duc Tien has taken it. So the Vietnamese player back to only one behind at 7-6.
Yeah, tricky situation here for Masato. Can't fault him. Using the 8 and 9 as cover. Pagulayan probably quickly going to the jump cue. And it's a tool at this level you better have in your bag. And you better be good with it. How is this going to rest? Okay. Must have made contact with something else. We were on the overhead, I believe. Pagulayan, pretty much certain, called a foul on himself there.
Yeah, seemed to be that way. Michael Schneider of Switzerland has got another one back against Wu Kunlin, so it's now only 8-6 there. Imran Majid on the hill, 8-7 over Tim de Ruyter.
You really don't see a lot of trouble here, do you? If he knocks this down, everything else falls in line. Pink 4 to the top left. Purple to the middle right. 6, 7, 8. They all lead to one another. It's just a matter of putting it together.
Does have to deal with the additional pressure that comes with the knowledge that one mistake could end your World Championship.
And I won't call that a problem. He wants to stay off the rail with the cue ball. Maybe overamped a little bit. I wouldn't expect him to have wanted to bend straight here. Not that he is. He might be able to cheat this a little, and he has. In a must-win game for Masato.
Must win. Now it's going to win. Well, I said it didn't feel like the sort of match where someone was going to make a late charge and pull off a number of racks in a row. Equally so, didn't feel like the sort of match that it was just going to be straightforward for Pagulayan once he got to the hill. And indeed, Yoshioka is still punching in this contest. It's 8-6. Pagulayan is one of 4 players currently on the hill. No change in the Wu Kunlin Michael Schneider match. That's still 8-6. Still 8-7 for Imran Majid over Tim de Ruyter. And Wong Kwok Wang still looking for one more against Sullivan Clark. That's 8-5. Feder Gorst at the table. Just one ahead of Long Duc Tien at 7-6. So the ball's racked and Masato Yoshioka eagerly out of his chair. Back to the table. You described the last as must win for him, Scott. This one, every bit as much the same.
Yeah, he's been short with the 1 to the left middle many times. Will he adjust? And he's short again. The 4, 9 glued together. Pagulayan at the table. Nothing straightforward about this. Well, he's going at the bank, and you can't blame him. He's close to the 1. Well, he hasn't turned it enough. He didn't get on the 2 either. I believe he had it right the first time. When he elevated there, really hard to get that cue ball back. Also, taking a little bit less off the object ball. When you stay level, you can turn it more. You're going to get more snap or more draw on the cue ball. So maybe a little change of mind that could hurt. Yes, it's ended well for Pagulayan. We'll see what Masato's got in mind. And to be fair, it's ended very awkward. 1, basically frozen. Cue ball pretty much flat with it, out in no man's land. The 2 is a problem if you want to come that way. I actually really like the idea. If he catches a little thinner, he's trying to use the 8. 2. Cutting off the bottom half of the 1. I don't know that that's going to help Masato. Well, if it wasn't already a mess, it's just gotten worse. The 5 tied up with the brown 7. And the last thing you want to do here is move the 4-9. I do not see a path to the 1 unless you swerve around the 9-1 rail below the left middle pocket. That's what he's looking at now. Pretty big ball to hit. I think the swerve is on. He is really elevated. Well, the swerve is on. He did break them out. And look at the cue ball. How sweet it is. Check the 4-9 out for good measure.
When Alex Pagulayan won this championship 20 years ago next month, Imran Majid was in the last 16 of it. Majid is in his 50s now, but he can still play a bit, and he's beaten Tim de Ruyter of the Netherlands 9-7 to go through to losers qualification.
Well, he's clipped the 6 with the 1. I don't think it's going to hurt him too bad. The biggest key is to get rid of the 4 or the 9 if you're in Pagulayan's camp. The 5-7 are trouble. The only way Masato can win this game early is with the 4-9 combination.
Just on Majid, he could face an all-British clash in losers qualification because he will face the loser of Chris Melling's match against the former US Open runner-up, Lucius Yap of Singapore. So only 4 matches still going out there. Fedor Gorst has got to the hill against Long Duc Tien. He's breaking at 8-6.
very clean. Fortune favors the brave, but he played the top side of that one, played it to the second rail, the cue ball that is. The result, well, there you have it.
Speaking of results, we're going to have a lot of them coming together very soon now, because all 4 remaining matches are currently at 8-6.
Is he trying to split the window between the 3 and 8? Running English. Well, how did he do? How will this finish? Watch out, pink. I believe it's covered.
Yeah, didn't get the bounce he needed off the last cushion it struck, the last rail.
We've seen it many times now today, Michael and I, where they've just had a hard time getting over the object ball. Typically, you don't see that with these guys.
No, absolutely not. It's been a remarkably high percentage of that today. In this instance, it may be Yoshioka's last action in this championship.
Yeah, very possible. And yesterday, I believe it was you and I that, or was it today that we did SVB's match? Was that today?
That was today. I know it doesn't feel like it. Well, actually, technically it was yesterday, because we're well past midnight here now in Jeddah.
Okay, yeah, so it was around 12 hours ago. We did Shane Van Boning's match, and I believe it was 2 jump shots in a row that he didn't clear the object ball.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And that told the tale there. Something else might be added to the fun.
Long Duc Tien is at the table in rack 15 with a decent chance. 3 balls needed to get back to 1 behind against Federgorst.
Well, he is looking to come into the 2-rail angle. Best believe he wants to come into the 7 full, but he'll take any type of action on those 2 balls down there. Well, how did he do there? About as good as it gets. Probably the best shot I've seen him play so far this match. It couldn't have come at a better time.
Wu Kunlin is through, 2-time world semi-finalist. He's beaten Michael Schneider 9-6. So he goes through to losers qualification. His opponent there will be the loser of the match between Poland's Daniel Maciol and the experienced Estonian Dennis Graber. In this match, they're playing for the right to take on either Dmitry Yungo or Kuo Po Cheng, and it now looks increasingly likely, almost inevitable in fact, that it will be Alex Pagulayan who advances.
Yeah, and I think if Pagulayan gets some rest, the way he's breaking the balls, the way this format sets up, the way these tables are playing, he's someone you better not overlook.
Long Duc Tien has won that 15th rack, so Federgorst still has work to do. Long now breaking, just 1 behind and looking to get to the hill. Duong Kwok Hwang is a winner. He's beaten Sullivan Clark of New Zealand 9-6 in the last few moments. he will now play either Konrad Yasusin or former world semi-finalist Oliver Szolnocki. So just 2 matches still going on, and in a moment that will almost certainly be won. Because Alex Pagulayan has won. It was level at 4-all. But after that, he won 5 of the next 7 racks. Alex Pagulayan always looked the more likely winner. He had to battle hard for it, but he's got there in the end. He's defeated Masato Yoshioka, and he's through to losers qualification in the World Championship. So, just 1 match still going out there. And if you want to go over and have a look, it could be quite a big finish. Long Duc Tien breaking 8-7 down against Fedor Gorst. On this table for today, though, thanks very much for your company, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
We've seen plenty of perspiration. Now we're seeing inspiration.
Listen to the noise. This is to tie the match up.
It all would have been there for him.